Today's webinar is about basically how we can reinvent FP&A by mastering automation for precision and growth. So how can we make FP&A basically much more automated as a process? This one is much more focused around budgeting and forecasting of how can you make your budgeting and forecasting cycles a lot more precise and automated, as well as be flexible and agile as you go along with this. Okay. First of all, most of you, I think, have come from LinkedIn, so most of you know me. Still, as a quick summary, I am Tejas Parekh. I am the founder, founder of basically Akshar Business Consulting. I have an MBA in finance. I'm a CIMA qualified, ACMSC, FCMA. I'm a level 7 qualified consultant. I have a Anaplan certification, Power BI certification, and then I've now got a Vena certification, and I've also got basically a Profit certification. So I've got a few certifications around the whole planning stuff. From a career standpoint, I've spent basically almost 11, 12 years in industry working in businesses where I've done basically dashboard implementations, basically built analytical tools, done project-based budgeting implementation, built centers of excellence and stuff like that. Post which 2018, I started Akshar Business Consulting, where we have done business transformation programs. We've delivered center of excellence for Xerox. We have done basically, we've delivered a few budgeting forecasting solutions across with various businesses. Actually, there are a couple of our recent clients which are still missing on this one. So there's Mardel and there is basically CUI and a couple of others. So there's a few clients in fact missing. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we keep adding to this list. For today's offer, what I'm offering is free strategy session. So after this, if you want to talk to me specifically about how do you assess your planning cycle, what are the key areas of improvement in your planning cycle, how do you implement a driver-based budgeting into your business, and key stakeholder mapping for your driver-based budgeting and things like that, I can help you do that for free of cost. It's roughly a half a day's work. And basically, I can also help you with mapping your current planning cycle process. And I will explain what does that mean as a part of the Vena implementation demo as well as we go along with that one. Basically, this is one slide which anybody who's attended any of my previous webinars will know I will always talk about. Basically, what is the future state of FP&A? Okay, the current state is you've got a CRM which is used by a marketing or sales team. You've got timesheets or stuff like that which is recorded for manufacturing businesses or some service-based businesses as well. You've got one or more accounting software or ERPs. You may have headcount data in Excel or things like that. And then you've got other data sets which you are using. Okay. The current problem is they're all disparate. We recently did a poll on LinkedIn, which also gave us the same feedback. Around 120 or 150 people responded, and 50% said disparate systems is their critical problem. Okay, so this is your current critical issue, which is what most people are saying. Okay, the way we propose we solve this with you is we basically implement a data lake in the middle, which combines all this data into a cloud environment, and then put a BI solution and a CPM or EPM solution on top for you to be able to then feed these two with your actuals. Okay. And then based on your actuals, you do your budgeting, forecasting, scenario planning, what if analysis, which can then also feed into your business intelligence solution, which generally should be Power BI. And therefore, using this, you can then do much more efficient method. Do reporting and analytics. You can do performance management. You can have a driver-based budgeting. So you connect your operational activity with your basically forecast and scenario planning and what if analysis and things like that. So to achieve this is the infrastructure which we recommend to all our clients that we work with. And I could safely say 90% of them have this kind of an infrastructure. And all of this doesn't need to be in place on day one either. You may first take just your ERP data and put in a cloud environment, then bring your CRM data, then bring your HRM data at a later point in time. It can be a phased approach as well. It can be an iterative approach and learn as you go along approach. But basically, this should be your target operating model from your technology structure standpoint perspective. Does this make sense? Does anybody have any questions on this one? Any reactions? Yep. Okay. People seem to be getting it. Okay, that makes sense. Fair. Okay. Basically, who is this webinar for? It is for CFOs, finance directors, leaders in FP&A, transformation leaders, anybody interested in financial analysis. What we'll be covering is a quick introduction to Vena, a few slides, and then all of this is basically in Vena in basically a demo environment. So I'll just have 2 slides on Vena, and then all the 4 topics are basically all in Vena. I'll show you, spend around 5 or 10 minutes on each of the topic, and I'll show you what is the art of the possible. Okay. What is Vena? Why do you do Vena? Because 80% of businesses still keep going back to Excel when they implement any transformation or any CPM solution. So at least for small to medium businesses which are like sub 100 million, I think Vena is a fantastic solution. It's a good place to start. You do have an Excel interface, but you're not Excel dependent. And again, I can clarify that as we go along. Okay. So, and you don't lose all the intelligence and all the learning that you have in Excel already. So that is key reason why Vena is a good starting place to work with, especially if the business is a medium-sized business. How does it work? Vena takes the data from your source systems, exactly the slide I just showed, puts it into a Cube Flex, which is basically a cloud environment. Okay, and then gives you the ability to do process collaboration and things like that. Gives you ability to do insights and even actually then automate your PowerPoint, communicate via Teams. So you not only can use Vena with Power BI and Excel, but you can use Vena with Power BI, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams. So most of the Microsoft environment. Vena is the only Microsoft's certified partner, and therefore their add-in with Microsoft Excel is actually the only one which Microsoft supports as well. Just to give you anybody's senior worried about Vena from that perspective, members of Microsoft board sits on the Vena board and vice versa, which just means that they are genuinely fully supported by basically Microsoft. Any questions so far about the product itself or not really? Are we all good? Then I can go quickly into the demo because I like to spend like good half an hour, 40 minutes in the demo if I can. Okay, let's shoot into the demo. Literally, how do you get into Vena? I'm going to open a new Google environment. Come on, new one. I have one open. You literally Vena.io. Okay. You log into Vena using obviously okay, username and password. Each username password is obviously unique. You land up into this environment. First thing I would like you to notice is there are 6 tabs on the top, but there are basically 5 roles. Admin is the top role, has access to everything. Okay. Admin is a person who, like your Microsoft license and things like that, they are the people who will set new people up, put their email account, give them the right level of access, put them in the user group and therefore have the right level of security and things like that. So admin is the person who is going to basically manage the level of access, security, and the role each person has. Okay. Below the admin is a modeler. Okay, modeler is a person who does the modeling. So if you work with us, for example, we would be your modelers. Essentially, you can feed Vena with basically a lot of data directly from sources like NetSuite, like Salesforce, like QuickBooks, Sage Intacct, as well as a few other, I think there is navigation and stuff like that. Plus you can add CSVs, plus you can add any data warehouse like a Azure, AWS, Fabric can be directly connected into Vena, which means the data can be uploaded into Vena automatically without any human interaction. Obviously, if you're doing a CSV upload, that needs to be done manually. Okay. But modular is where you bring the data into Vena and do the create an environment for you to be able to interact with it. Okay. Manager is a critical one. This is where it starts to get interesting because this is where you design what you're going to do with Vena. Okay, and this is the one I will spend a bit of time on right now. Uh, then there is contributor. So most of the people in the teams generally have a contributor license, which only means they can only see their task list and they can only get access to what they need to deliver and nothing more than that. Okay. Insights is basically very, very interesting. So as I said in the deck, basically I said we'll be starting with reporting in Vena and an Excel option. So basically in Vena, okay, in Vena you have got insights as an option where you have got Power BI embedded within the Vena environment. Okay, you can also do it externally within Vena, but you can do it within Vena as well. So anybody has played with Power BI before, they know what this is. You can start looking at your dashboards. Uh, okay, you don't need to basically have it within Vena. You can do it directly with your existing Power BI dashboards as well if you like. Okay. Uh, so this is one reporting option within a Vena environment. The other reporting option within a Vena environment is what I would like to show you the Excel one first, where if I go into an annual cycle and I go into the global files, reporting and analytics, executive dashboard. As soon as I click that, you see executive dashboard got downloaded. Uh, so this is again the beauty of it. It is already fully set up. Now, because I'm an admin at the minute, the way I've logged in, I'm an admin. It's going to give me option for all entities. Okay. But doesn't mean everybody always has access to all entities. You can restrict people to only New York and or only London or something like that. So you can restrict them by entity. You can restrict them by even department. That you can only see New York and sales department. In which case, when you do the drop down, you can't see anything except New York and sales. Or you can give them a couple of options and they can only see those options. Okay, so the security is completely customizable. This at the minute is everything. Okay, even currency at the minute, obviously for this demo environment, I've got everything, but this is completely customizable for you to restrict your teams to be able to see only certain departments, only certain legal entities, only certain scenarios. Again, this I can see all scenarios, but only certain scenarios and things like that. Uh, all of that is completely customizable. When I make my selection and press the data, it's gone to the cloud, brought the data from the cloud into my Excel book. Okay, so now your dashboard for your executive team is ready in Excel as well as in Power BI, whichever you like. You could very easily start commentary over here, for example, somewhere if you want to start writing comments and then save it as PDF and send it out. No time is then wasted for you to basically do preparing all of this again and again every month. Okay. This page is basically actual versus budget. I could very easily change it to what if analysis one, what if forecast, things like that. I could make it whatever I like. I can make it 23. I can look at prior year. I can compare current year to prior year, compare current month to anything. Whatever, if I change, it will go get the data and basically give me the output. The idea is for you to write comments here and basically be able to provide to the bosses in a very succinct and easy manner. So reporting within Vena can be done within Power BI environment, within an Excel environment, which I'm showing you, which also it can also be done within a PowerPoint environment. Uh, Not Teams. I don't think people do reporting within Teams, but yes, you can share reports within Teams as well if you really choose to. Does that kind of make sense? Yes, no questions. You can unmute yourself. Everybody can unmute themselves and ask questions or type questions in the chat, whichever you prefer. I'd like if it is okay, then I can move on. If you have questions, please ask. No? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you like this kind of automation for your executive dashboards? Yes or no? Or do we like to do it manually after the month end and take 3, 5 days, 10 days to do it? Okay. Okay. This is a poll which I think is very interesting for me. So I'd like to understand from you guys specifically, how long does your current budgeting cycle take on an average? Because I'm going to go into the budgeting cycle process. So before I do that, I'd like to understand how long does it take for you guys? 10 people, please just take a few seconds to respond to the poll. More than a month. Wow. That should be a fun month. Okay. So let's go back. First of all, have any of you visualized your basically planning cycle in this format ever? This is a planning cycle process, right? Where you set top-down targets, for example. You set central rates and drivers. For example, what is going to be my price increases for customers by product lines or whatever else? What is going to be my salary rises by region or by region and basically level of employment and stuff like that? Okay. You can then do your expense planning. You can do your capex planning, revenue planning, and things like that. This is a process map, which is what I think I have offered over here as a part of my offering of mapping your current planning cycle. Because very few, if any, companies I have worked in 16 years in the industry have I seen a planning process this well mapped out. People have an idea of what the planning process is, but they have not really mapped it out. And therefore, it is not very clear of what the planning process is. Why is that important? Because this gives me these basically 5 options. Okay. There is a place where I can go and do inputs, and I'll explain to you what does that mean. Okay. Review. Who is the reviewer of that input? Okay. It's a report, means I can go and visualize the reports which are being produced with this process. Activity. Activity means there is a sub process to this. So for example, expense planning is a process at the total level, but there's expense planning in London happens differently to New York. Okay. So when I double click this, London, New York, Montreal, blah, 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 blah. Every year I just have a review and it goes back, right? Whereas I think it was New York where I had what if analysis in the middle. Each process could be designed completely differently based on that office. Completely. Okay. And it will still summarize up into the same expense planning module, if that makes sense. Okay. And each of this, as you can see the symbol on the top left-hand side, it's the input module. What does that mean? When I double click on it, I have given either individual people, Adam, Frank, and Ari, or solution consultants, a group of people, the responsibility to finish this. Okay. And I've given them support workers that if all of these are out of the office, these are the 2 people who will have to do the work. Okay. I can put in watchers in terms of people who are going to review this. I have put in the templates that they need to finish. I can give them instructions. I can basically upload PDF instructions. I can upload video instructions, how to fill this up. So I can really go into deep down detail of how to do the process in depth, which I think is a game changing. We work with quite a few CPMs. I think Vena is the only one which goes this level of excellence in process mapping, basically, which means when I start this process, it sends emails out to these people that this is now due in 1 week's time. For example, this is now due in 5 days' time. Oh, this is due tomorrow. Okay. Oh, you are late by 1 day if they are late and things like that. It means nobody human has to do it. It means you can clearly, there is a report up here which that means you can clearly keep an eye on who is running late, who is on time, stuff like that, which I think is very, very critical as a planning process. Being head of FP&A in my prior life, I can tell you it is very painful when people don't deliver stuff on time. So that is this process mapping within Vena is critical. This again is an input tab, input file, for example. These are people who need to fill it up. You see, what are my central FX rates, right? What is my OPEX targets I want to give people? Okay. What is my workforce? How workforce controls you can put how many new heads they can hire in each department. You can put what is the inflation allowed in each salary rises allowed in each department. What are your benefit percentages that are allowed? Things like that. All of that can be controlled top down. Okay, which I think is critical, and you can have a review process around it. Does that kind of make sense? Do you think this helps make your planning cycle help your planning cycle become more efficient and more streamlined? Yes, no, don't like it, we hate it. Yes, no. Okay. Some of us seem to like it. Yes. Can you track completion? Yes, you can track completion 100%. To be honest, I also have to remind myself, but yeah, there is a tracking of completion somewhere. Uh, okay. What I'm going to go into next is basically after the process, I had clearly said that after the workflow in Vena, I'm going to talk about headcount planning. So first of all, how do you do your headcount planning today? Do you do it in Excel? Do you do headcount planning for your business? Right? I mean, most businesses, the biggest cost is always going to be headcount, right? So, do you do headcount planning? No structured headcount forecasting process. Wow, that is a bit scary. So that means you're taking a run rate and just forecasting in the future. That is, yeah, that has its own challenges, right? So, okay. So, Tejas, how would you do a headcount planning in this environment, workforce planning? Okay. Again, same kind of interface. It gives me an option to choose now a department. Okay. Again, because I'm logged in as who I am, it gives me all the options. Not everybody needs to have all the options. And this scenario should be restricted for each cycle. So it should be only one cycle at a time. These are things that your admin can control. So we can control that. Okay. Okay. So when I do that, because the way the data has been input and because I can bring in the data, it tells me which employees are in New York in this department. Okay. When did they get hired? Uh, if they have already a termination date, or if I want to put a termination date, I can put in a termination date. For example, if I want to fire this person on, I don't know, 30th of April 2025. Yeah. And I can fire the person. I can put their salary information in here. I can put the rate of increase in salary. So this is a merit increase which is come from the central top down. But there are two people, for example, I want to change the salary to a different number, more than 4%, for example. Which month is it going to be implemented by? If you're an hourly paid worker, which again, I think this person is an hourly paid worker, it says here somewhere. Yeah, there you go. So it's a salary. This is hourly paid. So hourly paid worker, okay, how many hours per week? What is their wage? Things like that. You can do all of that over here. You can write the whole, literally you can go into a whole lot of detail as you can tell. So you give this to the department heads. Again, this can be this at the minute is set up to show for the demo environment. Everything is in one template. You could take the salary information out or the benefit information out and get the department heads to only focus on, are they your FTE? Yes or no? Are they hourly paid or whatever? Are you going to fire them? Do you want to keep them? Things like that. Maybe you give them salary information. You don't give them salary information. Entirely up to you. Maybe because we've had a couple of customers where they want salary information to be populated by the HR department, but the headcount information should be done by the individual department head. So that can be separated out as well. For this demo environment, I've got everything in one place. Doesn't need to be. Okay. All your year-end bonus production, blah, 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 everything. Not only just that, you can even use transfer. So this is one thing which I really like about Vena. I can transfer Michael Hill is going out of this and going into services. So he's in sales at the minute. He's going into services. I can even transfer people 100% or I can transfer people 30%. I can give them a start date or whether it is immediately they're going to get transferred over. Okay, all of those kind of basically automation you can put in here. So one of the key things I used to hate when I was doing basically as head of FP&A was, yeah, but this person has got transferred from here to there. This is, this person has gone here. It's a mess. Okay, here you can now track this. When I put this person here, it goes into that template and that person starts seeing that, okay, now I'm going to have, for example, say Montreal, and I'm going to put this person into, let me put him in finance, okay? And they're going to be there from 1st of May 25, okay? And they're going to be there 100%, for example. So then in the finance template, when you open it up, this person will start appearing in there. The person can then accept it or not accept it, things like that. So you get full options of being able to transfer things, people in and out. Not just that, you can also have basically open requisitions of open positions. When do you expect them to start? What is their salary going to be? What is their basically forecast good? What is the salary going to be? All those kind of things, you can put it all in here in a very, very structured manner. Does that make sense? And not just that, you can also then start allocating people by project if you want to do project level, basically forecasting and cost analysis specifically. So where we encourage this is when customers are looking for basically product line basically profitability, customer profitability, things like that. Then you need to allocate your people across this, and you need to start telling Vena who is working what project, how many hours, and things like that, for Vena to then do the math and start allocating all of this out. Does this kind of make sense? I'm really rushing through this and I realize this. Generally, a Vena demo is like a 1.5 hour demo. I'm trying to do that in like a 30 or 40-minute demo. So I am going to rush through this a little bit more quickly, but does this kind of start giving you some idea of what is the art of the possible? Plus, the biggest advantage I think from with Vena you get is this, most of these templates are default. So that means implementation cycle is really, really short. You can get up and running within 8 to 13 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks, essentially, right? So your first set of automation can start within 8 to 13 weeks. It's no more, oh, it takes 6 months to implement this and we'll get the benefit after 9 months or 12 months. All those days and time are gone. Okay, so you could actually get up and running with this very, very quickly and then iterate as you go along. And when I will happily share these templates with you that, okay, this is how our other customers are doing it. Have a look. What do you want to adjust around this? Okay, this, for example, if I want to add a row, there is an option to data tools. See, insert a row. Then it is going to ask me, okay, do you want, so I've already got request 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll add request 6. And basically what kind of a role you are adding. So I'm adding this role. Okay. It will add the person's role in there. Now insert the role. So now the role is added. Okay. I'm going to say this one is going to start from 1st of August 25. Is going to be 1 FT, is going to be salaried person, for example, salaried people, salary. And then as soon as I say salary, then it says, okay, what is the salary going to be? I can say 75,000, for example. Okay, fine. So I can do all of this. All of this automation is actually possible and very, very quick and very efficient from a headcount forecasting perspective. Does that at least give you an idea? There's a lot more to go through in this one. If I really wanted, I could do a whole webinar on just headcount forecasting. But does it at least give you a high level picture of what is the art of the possible? Yes? Okay for me to move on? Andreas, Vivek, are we good? Yeah. Okay, good. So this kind of gives you a broad idea of how you can do workforce planning, because I'll show you what happens with this information. Okay. Once I'm done with this, all I have to do is basically save the data in Vena. When I press save data in Vena, it goes into the cloud and stays in the cloud. Then Tejas, what do I do with this Excel book? Delete it. Nobody cares. Okay. You delete it. You throw it in the bin. Nobody cares. Nobody has to save these Excel books in a particular place. Oh, do I have to save this? Do I have to email this to somebody? No. All you got to do is save this into Vena, which means this Excel will then get saved into the cloud environment. Okay? And it'll stay there. So next time when I bring this combination down, it'll come out exactly like this. And then I can improvise upon it with the next cycle, if that kind of makes sense. There's a lot of options here. Again, I could go through all of this. Some of this I will cover in the OpEx side of things. But there's a lot of functionality you can do within Excel, which is not your normal Excel functionality. Okay, so this is your headcount planning. 7 ways to plan your OpEx. Okay, so last piece which I'm going to cover today is basically don't save. I don't save because again, I don't need to save that Excel either, because that is already saved into Vena now. So Vena has it. I don't need to do anything. Don't need to save this either. It's already in the cloud. Okay. OpEx is what I'm going to open. This is arguably one of my favorite templates. I was playing with it earlier as well. Okay. I have promised 7 ways of forecasting your cost. Okay. Same scenario as previously. Select department, select an entity. Again, all of that can be restricted. Now, what this has done has gone into the cloud and brought in the data for this. Few things to notice. First, I've got salary information here, but I can't see whose salary is what. Okay, I can't type into it. I'm trying to type into it. It's not letting me type into it. So that is my one methodology of forecasting my OpEx, meaning I do a detailed planning somewhere else. Think not only salary, think CapEx planning and depreciation. Okay, I could do a whole CapEx module and do the depreciation of it and blah, blah, blah. And then the depreciation line comes in here, right? Somewhere in the bottom. But I don't need to show it over here. Okay, similarly, I think there is allocated cost over here. See, it's coming from central cost allocated down. I can't type over it, but it's there. Does that make sense? So this is what you would call detailed planning brought in to individual templates without that person having to provide the input. And that just means they know what is going to hit their P&L, but they cannot do anything about it, essentially. Okay. So the person who is doing the headcount planning is responsible for headcount planning. The person who is doing the central allocation of cost is responsible for that. And that this department and this entity has to just take the cost and run with it. Okay. So that is one way of doing your basically OpEx forecasting. Okay. Another unique thing about this template is not this one. I don't want to show you that yet. Yeah. Is I can see all my actuals for previous periods. Okay. Where there is actuals. Just how does that help? So for example, January 23, I had last year, I had 16,500 of legal fees just in May, whereas all other months seem to be reasonably low. So what the hell is there? Okay, data inspection, drill down. I should be able to drill down into this. I want to see basically not audit, drill transactions. There's the one. So now because it is actuals, it is drilling the transactions and it is giving me 16,500, 16,500. That is the number. Invoice, city, which was the vendor, giving me absolute level of detail, which is available in the system for me to look at. So I know where the 16,000 came from. So when I'm making a forecast, I don't have to go to somebody and ask, oh, but what was this number last year? I don't see the details behind it. Don't come to me. It's there. Okay. So you don't need to come to finance and ask the question. Again, just to make this clear, drill transactions. Okay. It'll break the 10,000. There you go. 10,390. That's your transaction. So you can you can bring the transaction level detail into Vena and then give the people the option to go and look at this and therefore be able to forecast into the future, which I think is a really, really cool activity because that's a question which most people get asked during a planning cycle. They just, what is my number last year? How was that the number and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So 7 ways of forecasting. One is a detailed planning option. Second, obviously textbook, type it in, right? Straightforward, not very difficult, right? This is something which I'm sure you have all done in your lives or at some point in time or other, so you know how this is. So this is the second way of planning your forecast, okay? Third way of planning my forecast. I put in, basically, I say seasonally, and then it tells me, okay, seasonally what? I am saying, okay, last year was 65,000, for example. Okay, next year is going to be 66,000. Okay. And I'm saying allocated seasonally. Fair enough. When I has gone and done the seasonal allocation automatically, 66,000. And I can write commentary. Why did I say 66,000? Oh, I want it to be 54,000. Fair enough. 54,000. Put the commentary. Why? Okay. Now I'm going to do something silly. I'm going to make it 1.5 million. Look, when it's telling me a red line, something is gone wrong, it's telling me this. Okay, I can try to save this data to Vena. It is saying total budget amount exceeds this number, exceeds the top-down target. Okay, got it. It is not letting me save only. Okay, so that means I can disable their ability to save this number to Vena if they give me a number which is completely ridiculous. Okay, but if I do say 700,000, let me see. Okay, no, not 70,000, 700,000. For example, and then say save data. Oh God, I'm still going well over. Okay, I'm going to try and see if I can come to, because basically the other option you do get is you let people save the number, but then they have to put definitely a comment of what the number is, why you have gone higher than the top-down target. So 2 levels of security, either you completely disable them, don't let them submit the number, don't talk nonsense, you have to stick to the top-down target, or yes, you can exceed the top-down target, but then give me a pretty damn good reason why. So there's a warning system, so they can't say, oh, by mistake, I pressed the number. So that is the option as well. So again, we are now up to now covered 3 ways of doing forecasting: detailed planning, typing the number in. We have done basically do an annual number and then spread it out based on all of these options. Okay. Another option is there is a linear regression, which means automatically based on statistical trend analysis, when I will create its own forecast. Okay. You can do a seasonal regression as well. Okay. So this is the fourth way of doing it. So this is basically on statistical forecasting model. It can do it on its own. Okay. Detailed planning, typing it in, annual planning, and regression forecast. Okay. 4 ways of doing it. I've got 3 more to go. Okay. I'm trying to find. Okay. So this is vendor forecast. Okay. So as you can see, it's saying the driver is vendor. If I go to the vendor page, I've got legal fees, consulting fees, and software fees. I can add lines like I did last time, add a line. Okay. And then select a vendor. I don't know who these vendors are, but whatever. ABC. Are they charging a flat rate or are they charging you billable hours as a rate? Okay. So I'm saying these are guys a flat rate, 25,000. Okay. Where are they going to start from? They're going to start from, say, April. Okay. It's modeling it out and it's putting them in April, and therefore in the front, you've got the detail. But then it is telling me this is too high because the cost compared to last year is too high. Okay. So maybe make it 1,500. Does it like that? Yes, it likes that. Does that make sense? So now the local teams can give you that level of detail within the template. You don't have to call them up and ask them, where did your legal fees or consulting fees cost come from? You can literally see the description. You can see the vendors. You can see all of this. When I save data to Vena, all of this goes up top. And therefore, all of this, I never have to go to the local teams and have all of these conversations. It's all there, secured, logged in the cloud environment. Okay. Similarly, they have done travel costs like that as well. So you could now do travel cost no, when, what is the travel detail, who is going to travel, where are they traveling, blah, 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 blah. Again, this can be, this is a template which Vena provides. You can customize it based on your typical business as well. Okay. So this is your fifth way of forecasting within Vena. A sixth way, okay, I'm going to take this one back and to it into input, okay, and then I'm going to say insert add a line item here. Look at what it's done, okay. It is automatically put a sum formula there, okay. I can add another line item there, okay, and I can say, okay, sorry, here, project 1, project 2. Okay, and I can say project 1 is going to be 1500 in this month. This is going to be 2000 here. This is going to be, I don't know, 2500 here, and this is going to be 800 there. If that kind of gives you a principle, so they can mess up your template. It won't mess up your overall consolidation. It will still overall consolidation will work automatically within the Vena environment. Save that template. But when they reopen this template for New York and sales, they will get project 1, 2 detail. If that kind of makes sense. So the detail is still there, but it's not lost, but basically it still helps you overall consolidate your numbers. Did I just make sense? Because I know if you do purely in Excel, if somebody messes your template, it is a very painful process. Okay. And the last and final, obviously you could have a scratch pad. So somebody could say, okay, I want to completely make it up myself. You can completely make it up yourself and then connect these rows into the front and say, okay, I'm going to connect it into the front. For example, this is going to be scratch pad and it's going to be, I don't know, 9,000 on LinkedIn ads in this month. And I'm going to do outsource copywriting, blah, blah. So I could make my own scratch pad as I go along as well. Okay. So so basically detailed planning, input the numbers, do the regression forecasting, have separate travel or vendor templates or marketing, basically initiative templates. You can add lines if you want, plus you can have top-down allocation. So you've got all these options for you to be able to do forecasting of your cost and then have basically comments on each one of them. And as soon as I save this data within Vena, it gets consolidated, it gets translated into different currencies. If you have got a different local currency to a reporting currency and things like that, all of that happens automatically pretty much in real time, which means when you open your Power BI dashboard within Vena, so now that I've submitted these numbers, if I opened my basically insights here, if the number impacted this, my number would not have already changed. If that kind of makes sense, pretty much real time. So every time people start submitting numbers, you can review them and you can get on with that analysis. Does that kind of make sense? Yes or no? Okay, it makes sense. So I've gone through the 7 ways of forecasting. Okay, few quick things. When I is a add in within your Excel, also you can use it. You can use it in Excel. You can use it in Teams. It has its own co-pilot. This is very important. So Vena has now got its own co-pilot. Difference between the Vena co-pilot and your normal basically your chat GPT and things like that. Your data doesn't leave your environment. So if you remember when I logged in as Akshar Consulting, blah, blah, blah. So that's the domain. So my data doesn't leave my domain. So your financial data is secure within your own domain, but you can still use AI technology to interrogate the data, to talk to your data set and get answers out of your data set. Okay, so they have their own co-pilot as well. And obviously you can integrate with PowerPoint, Power BI and stuff like that. Yeah, what can you use Vena for? It can be used for finance-led planning, like long-term strategic planning, driver-based budgeting, blah, blah, blah. I think we covered a lot of this. It can also be used for operational planning. So think like, capacity planning, manufacturing plans, sales plans, project planning, anything which involves dimensions and numbers, You can use number, can be headcount, number can be material count, can be a lot of different things. Okay. And we can then combine that into your finance data as well. So when you make your manufacturing plan within Vena, for example, we can translate that into monetary value and make it a part of your driver-based budgeting process, for example. Okay. Apart that, obviously, beyond planning, you can use it for month end. You can do it for account reconciliation, transaction matching, statutory consolidation, tax planning, and even another key usage which we have seen with customers is basically compensation dashboards. So commission planning and things like that, they tend to be pretty complicated for businesses sometimes. So those kind of use cases are also very common, essentially. I am going to pretty much stop, I think, after this. Okay. So before I go to that, this one thing I want to very, very quickly show you guys is back here in the accounting world as well, in the consolidation as well. You can do financial consolidation within Vena with your adjusting entries, with your FX, with your minority interest calculations and things like that. Okay. So when you buy a Vena license, you can then use that Vena license for multiple things, for headcount planning separately, for financial consolidation, for your normal budgeting forecasting, for your commission calculations. It doesn't cost you anymore. You're just using the same license for multiple use cases, meaning your return on investment is much higher. If that kind of makes sense. I just wanted to show this out loud. We've done this obviously with a few businesses. I would like to point out some of the recommendations we've had, like, people have worked with us, people have loved what we do because we have a background in FP&A, we deliver a solution based on moving away from spreadsheets and actually provide high quality output. Okay. I developed with Cinemedia, we in fact help them go from a big picture to actually dive into details while reviewing the monthly performance in a matter of seconds. So they really, really loved it. Help them reduce the number of days taken to close the books every month, essentially. Okay. Even at basically Unilever, when I was working, we've worked with them a lot of automation and improving of existing processes. What we've done with even Unilever, essentially. These are just some of them from my LinkedIn profile. There is a lot more on my LinkedIn profile. Please go right ahead and have a look. There is Xerox, which recently gave me this a recommendation as well, because we've done a Xerox Anaplan and Power BI implementation. I don't have any more. Any questions? Because I'd like to use the 8 minutes last that I have to answer any questions, comments, any clarifications people would like to ask. Obviously, this is a really rushed session. As I said, I hardly spent like 40 minutes on Vena. A normal Vena demo is like at least 90 minutes plus. So please let me know if you would like a much more specific session with you guys. I'm happy to. We have your email address. We can reach out and organize a very specific session with you guys. Oh, thank you, Andres. You like it? Any questions you have? Anything you'd like to add? Anything you'd like me to clarify? Please unmute yourself. I like people to talk. Andreas, Tim, Vivek.
Hi, thank you for
Hello,
the
Julie.
Hi, sorry, I can only join 20 past because other priorities. But again, I find it very helpful. I just added you on LinkedIn, so just want to say thank you. And yeah,
No,
look
definitely.
look forward to your next session if you want to do Vena. So I'll definitely be there.
No, definitely, definitely. But anything you think we could clarify? Anything you think we could have covered more?
So I'm not really an accountant. I don't work in FP&A. They are my clients, so that's why it's helpful to understand like basically what they're talking about, and then the jargons, and then the terminologies. So for me, I don't have any specific questions. I just find it very, very helpful. So thank you.
No problem. Most welcome. I mean, anything you think your clients asked, which you think we could have answered in this conversation, for example, I mean, any client question you think you'd like to share, happy to answer that as well.
I mean, we talk, me and my clients, we talk a lot about transformation. So basically migrating from Excel sheets to a software. So that's why I think a Vena session would be very helpful for me. So
Okay.
yeah, hope that makes sense. Yeah.
Sure, no worries. I mean, if you missed the first 20 minutes, but we obviously have recorded this session, so we will share the recording after this. So you can watch the whole recording from the start. So that should help you out as well, I guess.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you.
Perfect. Tim, Vivek, Prashu, any questions, anything?
This is Tim. So I think this was great. I really appreciate the efficiency in sharing what you have here. I think in a future session, what I would be particularly interested in, helping clients. I think we talked before when we first met. You know, I work with clients helping with their FP&A capabilities, but I always go in with building proof of concept, then showing proof of value with the tools that they have. As we explore, let's say, technology-driven solutions, just the pros and cons, advantage, disadvantage, or consideration between the different solutions that you use. So, you know, if you did it by, for example, use case, like you did here, you know, if you use Vena, here are the advantages, but here are also the considerations versus Anaplan. And it doesn't have to be robust, but just in the platforms that you have domain experience, that would be of interest.
No, definitely. That's a great question, right? But that is what so even recently we were working with a client to help them identify a solution. We were talking Vena, and in between the Vena conversation, we switched to Profix because we realized that consolidation is quite complex for them, and like they've got 25 or 30 entities and really multi-currency and things like that. So then we switched the conversation, which is completely fine as well, right? That is an option which people can take. Yes, Julie, you had a question. You raised your hand.
Yes, I did. So I need to jump like basically now. However, I would like to connect to people in this conversation. Like I mentioned, these are basically the normal like daily conversation I have with my clients. So I'm just wondering if it's okay for me to drop my LinkedIn link in the chat box. If not, it's
Yes,
totally
yes.
understandable.
No,
Okay,
no.
sure.
That is fine. Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
feel free to drop me a message on LinkedIn. It'll be nice to have a conversation. Yeah, anyway, thank you
definitely.
guys. Yeah.
Thank you. Cheers. So yeah, so yes, there can be a tool comparison for sure, but that is a separate conversation essentially. That I think is client by client. It's for that requires to understand the use case for the client and what the client is looking to achieve in a lot more depth. Otherwise, it'll be a very general conversation, Tim. Any more for any more? Cool. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate your time. I really appreciate the participation, and hopefully I keep in touch with all of you on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you.